It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was a right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized into this. Get right on it, Chief.
Quarterback to Hollywood, to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX. This is the Alan Aury Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Free at last! Free at last!
You're listening to the Alan Aury Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome to Alan Aury No Retreat. I'm Alan Aury, so honored and humbled to have you with us here on Taco Tuesday. I get really excited for every day I'm able to be on this show. The blessing to be able to have this hour to visit with y'all, but in particular on Tuesdays, because I get to be most Tuesdays with Bullet Bob Leone, one of my best friends, the best friend from grammar school all the way through life. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you, buddy.
You
Good to
are
be here.
an addition to that. People love you.
And still no tacos.
People love. Well, you know, it's a misnomer,
I've been
isn't
begging
it?
for tacos for 3 weeks.
Well,
what else do I have to do?
I was going to go through Taco Bell, but Jose gave me a big
bad
lecture
idea.
saying that is not Mexican food. That's not a real taco. So I've got to get my act together. We're going to call out some, in a good way, a good call out to local businesses who make tacos.
Yeah.
So an alert here, people here in Fresno and around the country. Well, you couldn't ship your tacos here. It'd be kind of, well, you could freeze them. They ship steaks, Omaha steaks.
Yeah,
Have you ever had one of those?
No.
I'm a little scared to get a steak that's in
the back of a van.
Dry ice delivered.
in the back of a truck.
At first bite, I don't know.
Yeah.
They say they're good, though. But anyway, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. I'm Alan Aury, otherwise known as the Louisiana Pinata. After the last 2 shows, Bobby said right before the show, he says, you got a bruise under your eye. Look, what? He goes, and he laughed. And I go, oh, okay, I get it. Words are violent. I got hit with an adjective right underneath my left eye, man. It closed up instantaneous. But folks out there, this is what this show about, is a sharing of different ideas. You know where I kind of lean. And Bobby, you know what we need to do?
What?
And I want to do it with you and I and
Okay.
Larry and Guillermo. You know, not in an egotistical way, just so people get to know, because we assume a lot. People get to know who we are. I'm going to do who is Carlos Allen Aury Brown? What are my beliefs? What do I hold dear? And I've never done it. I wish more people would do that. I wish Pelosi would do it. I'm going to do a press conference, and I'm going to tell you who I am, what I believe. And just take the time. And it hit me the other day, you know, I need to do that. You know, we'll give time to you to do that. I think the people would enjoy that, because we do assume, I think, too much, because we know ourselves so well that some in weird way we think that others, I guess through osmosis, are going to know. Think about that.
No, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that.
Yeah.
Because we're good friends.
Kind of.
You always try to make me feel, you know, I'm down after getting beat up for 2 days.
Look battered and bruised.
The onslaught of adjectives and nouns. Oh, you stupid. What do you get on the Pope for? That's blasphemous. See you in hell, Autry.
Do we have a delay here, or was this?
Well, I got to clear that up. I don't think I was succinct enough and clear enough about the Pope. I cleared it up about what I feel about January 6th, and we're going to get into that. Because the latest installment from the Netflix series Insurrection, produced by Nancy Pelosi, directed by Liz Cheney, in a role that you've never seen her before, Adam Schiff, the Capitol Police, and a cast of folks that you will not soon forget.
Well,
Insurrection.
They canceled the hearing set for today.
They did?
Yeah. They're going to do it tomorrow.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
They canceled it?
They canceled.
Because they got to make a referral whether they're going to get, they're going to recommend criminal charges on Trump. Which is, spoiler alert, this is a Netflix series as they described it, and they're going at each other. Did you see that? Thompson was saying, "Well, I don't think we should refer." No, Schiff's going, "Hey, wait a minute, I think we are going to refer this and that." So it's just, anyway, we're going to get into the craziness of it. Not that the fact that Trump should not be held accountable for some of, you know, if you feel that he's the one that caused the so-called insurrection at the Capitol, then okay, look into it. But the FBI said no. The Department of Justice looked into it in terms of Trump being the cause of that. They said no. But Liz Cheney, in her wisdom, felt that wasn't good enough. That they, in their brilliance, because they are the anointed, they know things.
Smartest kids in the room.
Smartest folks in the room. That they need to check. Hey, because we're going to get. I know you got some topics here, but let me ask you a question. If you were walking on the street, we're not rich people by any stretch, but we're okay. You know, we put a little money away. You know, we live a good middle class life
After 45 years of work.
45 years, and
another overnight success story.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we were raised in Riverdale. We're appreciative for the life we have. We know what it is to live on minimum wage and work the fields and all that stuff. So we're appreciative and thankful to the life that we've had in every aspect, including, you know, being able to work and make a living. But if you were walking along the street and you looked down and you saw a folded $100 bill, would you pick it up?
Yeah.
No, don't.
Oh, what?
No.
Why?
What? The sheriff from Tennessee sent out this warning that what's happening is people are getting poisoned because that's a way that folks carry fentanyl.
Oh, really?
They wrap it up, fold it up in a $100 bill.
What a dastardly plan.
Yeah. Well, they're lost accidentally and what have you.
Wow.
But apparently.
That's scary.
Yes. And apparently this is fentanyl that, you know, China produced, filtered through, laundered through Mexico here to America. So by the time it gets here, it's some dirty crap. It's got stuff in there that literally enough that could fit on the head of a pin is enough to kill you.
Yeah, that's lethal stuff.
Yeah, that just came out
Small
today.
amount.
So, folks, if you're walking around and you see that folded dollar bill, I know it's tougher. I know, get you a hazmat suit, you know, come back in.
That's scary.
Isn't that wild?
That's crazy.
All right, bro, before we get to January 6th, I also want to visit the poop. I hate to take this out of I told you so file because it makes me sound like I know it all. I don't know it all at all, believe me.
Take my word for it, folks.
Yeah.
He knows
a
a
lot
lot.
of people who know me know that I don't know it all.
He knows a lot.
But to quote J.K. Simmons from the State Farm commercial, I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. After 9 years, we've seen a thing or two. It's called history.
Or Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones. I drink wine and I know things.
Well, I don't drink wine, and I probably don't know half of what I think I know. But I told you about this Putin situation. Everybody said he's insane. It's crazy. It makes no sense. Look, the guy did an evil thing. Is he evil? That's for God and him. That's for God to decide, make the judgment. He certainly did an evil thing. But to call him dumb and stupid from some of the folks who, judging by their position and behaviors and policies in life, have proven they're pretty dumb and stupid in some ways, calling this guy dumb and stupid was never a wise take on this guy. You got to understand that Russia kind of invented, they didn't invent chess, but they perfected it. Guy's been playing chess. On this show, we warn folks about this. Don't be fueled by emotion. This guy has a plan. He's got plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And that Ukraine was simply not going to defeat the Russia. I almost said the Soviet Union, but he's not going to defeat Russia in a war right on their doorstep. So we're going to get to that because we've been trying to for the last actually couple of weeks here in depth. But you got a few things here before we go to break. Let's launch with the Bullet Bob.
Well, just a couple of things.
Shoot some from your gun.
Yeah, well, apparently the police up in Idaho, in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, have been receiving death threats as a result of their arrest of the Patriot Front folks on Saturday when they were going to disrupt that Pride Day in Coeur d'Alene. You've seen that. And so apparently the police department's been receiving about 50-50, according to the police chief, Mr. White. 50% positive, hey, thank you for doing what you did. Get those guys out of there before they started something. And 50% apparently are outraged that they arrested these guys prior to the Pride event. Interesting take on it. It's interesting to me that there would be that kind of an outcry for their arrest.
Well, did they come out and say, "Hey, we're going to go here and raise hell"?
That was what was alleged they were going to do. They had riot gear and everything else, and they were going to.
These Patriot people? I've never heard of this group. I've heard of the Oath Keepers and
Front.
Proud Boys.
The
Patriot Front.
Yeah,
out of Idaho.
Well, they were in Idaho. I don't know if they're all from Idaho.
So they said there's a Pride event, and we're going to come and march,
and we're going to disrupt it. Apparently,
they said disrupt it. I'm not being an apologist for them. I just
that's what I read.
Okay.
Now, that's from the source that I had, and I didn't put the source down here.
Well, you get these pro-life rallies, and those that are pro-choice say we're going to come to this rally, and we're going to rally for pro-choice.
No, these guys. No, they were apparently getting vests and everything out of a U-Haul trailer, and a citizen of Coeur d'Alene called the police department and said, "Hey, there may be something going on downtown here next to that Pride event." And so they got over there, and all of these guys are all wearing the same shirts. They're all masked up. And so they arrested him for potential issues.
Yeah. Well, that's where you get in the dicey area with these red flag laws. Not, probably, but could be very warranted in this case. Because that's why I ask, what did these people say before? Because if they get on social media and they said, "Look, we're going to go here and we're going to disrupt it and be violent," I'm all for stopping that, being preemptive on that. But if they just said, we're going to go in, and if we're going to go in and just protest the event, I mean, you've got to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff. But that's why these red flag laws, Bobby, some people like it, some people don't, because a red flag is basically you can arrest somebody and take away their guns by a single accusation if the authorities deem that accusation to be credible.
A potential threat. Yeah, without carrying out the actual act.
Boy, it's complicated, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you want to know, like this kid. Well, the kid out in, this kid at Uvalde, and the kid prior to that at the grocery store. if you had information that came out later, and you had that prior to him doing what he did, you could see, hey, this kid is very unbalanced, and he has threatened violence before. He's threatened to go into these schools. He even gave a date when I turn 18.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go do this. That's a kind of red flag.
You would think
that I would have no problem. Sorry, my further right brethren.
Well, and apparently
I would say, but I can also understand the slippery slope when you don't have that kind of evidential aspects to it, and you just have somebody saying, hey, I know this guy, and he's got a bad temper, and he just bought a gun. And you have somebody who just has a vendetta against somebody, and you go take away his gun, you call that a red flag. Because, how do you specify, the law that you don't have that become the criteria for going and disarming somebody and taking away their ability to protect their family simply because somebody's got a grudge out against you. Yeah. That's the argument that folks make on there.
That's legitimate. I can't remember. I think this was the same kid though that had made a threat against his high school
right
a year earlier.
Oh gosh, I looked at it. I just have no problem with doing preemptive action with this kid.
There are certain points where you have to step in and say, hey, wait a minute, this guy shouldn't be anywhere near guns.
But to me, it really isn't that aspect of a red flag law. It's not complicated. You just figure out a criteria. You don't respond with one person. I mean, the Bible says somebody's accused, it got to be by a couple, because they knew people know human nature. People can have a vendetta against somebody. They go, how can I really get this person? Oh, I could say they're violent. The authorities come in, take their guns. That person is discredited and called a potential insane threat to people, and have to spend the rest of their life trying to disprove that simply because I want custody of my child a little bit more.
Yeah, well, and that is that slippery slope.
Yeah, but to me, you should have enough common sense to know, no, that's not enough. And the kid had overwhelming evidence from his own words on his own social media account. Right. So I think sometimes we stay in a state of paralysis in terms of laws and what we put into law and what we don't put into law, because we think it's too complicated. When in actuality, it's really not. It's hard because you're going to get people that just don't want to give up their guns for any reason, even if they've had a history of mental illness or whatever. I mean, there's folks out there, it's hard to believe. They just think, well, the threat of having your guns confiscated and the slippery slope that could cause, I'm not for any kind of red flag law whatsoever. But
common sense and good judgment should prevail. But in this day and age, that seems to be a rare quality anymore.
Yeah. Well, we're living in a world. Would you ever think back when we were kids, that we'd even be talking about whether a man is a man, a woman, that there's no such thing as a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister?
I'd love to be able to go back and talk to your mom or talk to my mom or my dad or Joe and say, hey, here's what we're dealing with in 2022. And they would look at you like, do I know you? Are you my son?
Or you go,
are you crazy or what?
Yeah.
Really?
Or you finally figure out algebra and you're able to pass it. You get a C- and you pass, and you run home really proud going, I'm dead. I just passed algebra. You racist? Don't you know math is racist?
Thank God for Mr. Fritz, right?
Yeah, thank God for Mr. Fritz.
He gave me a D in algebra in my senior year so I could graduate.
Did you ever get an F?
Oh, yeah.
I never got an F.
Oh, yeah. In math.
I was afraid I got D-.
I'd get A's in history and English and get F's in math because I just couldn't get the concept.
I got close to that. I got D-, and I think they liked me because they wanted me to play football.
Well, I think he just wanted me to get out. Yeah. This kid's been here for 7 years. It's time to go.
In what world could you even consider that math is racist or that science is racist? Objectivity is racist. That you should take away the honor roll. Schools all over the country, folks, are taking away the honor roll, doing away with it. Why? Because out of equity. And please, folks out there, do not equate equity with equality. Two totally different things. The root of Marxism is one of the foundational components of Marxism is equity. And equality means equal access to opportunity, education, quality of life, and everything else in a free country. Okay, you have a chance to go in there and compete and go as far as you can go. That's equality. Equity means we do whatever's necessary to level the playing field so everybody gets the same. So if you can't do math like us F and D minuses, and then we had people like Mark Borba and others getting A's, Lee Pritchard getting A's that worked their butt off and got it and got an honor roll, got on the honor roll and stood out. They would do away with that to save our feelings because we feel so bad about getting that D minus and that F that if Lee Pritchard didn't get his A, he didn't get honored, then we would feel better about ourselves and we become successful human beings. Instead of saying, man, I want to do what Lee did. Lee, how did you do it? How'd you get that A? This is really difficult. Lee, can you help me with my math, with my trigonometry, with my geometry? Can you help me with that? Because, man, I want to be on that stage. I want to get that honor roll. I want to have something. That's how we grew up, that you honored success, and that was good. That was good for the development of character, even of the folks who got the D minuses.
Well, but the fact that I did get bad grades just pushed me to want to do better. I didn't do much better, but, I wasn't going to just sit there and not try, because that's what I was supposed to do. That's the way I was brought up. If you don't get it right the first time, keep plugging away until you do.
Well,
give me an A for effort anyway. And I think they respected that. I think the teachers respected that. Well, the kid's trying. He's just not real bright, So.
Well, it was just your strong point. You were bright in other areas.
I definitely wasn't mad. But I like to think I was. But
I was bright in other areas. Like eating Twinkies. Nobody could eat a Twinkie like that. It was a work of art. It was artistic. I would take, you saw me in a Three Musketeer bar.
Your art, you're early on, and I could tell you were destined for great things.
Yeah.
You could peel an orange in record time.
I remember you marveling at that.
Yeah. You could peel folks, you can't believe this guy.
I could.
He could peel an orange in record time and eat it in record time. And I remember that succinctly. And I said, this guy's got a future. I'm not sure what it is.
They called me Norman Vincent Peale. I was that good. And, and I'll brag on that. I could peel an orange. It was unbelievable. I'll have to agree with you. You bring back my memory on that. You'd say, Hoss, peel this for me. And I remember you just being mesmerized going, dang.
Tear that thing up in a heartbeat.
Boy, this is some great radio, isn't it?
Isn't it? They're sitting on the edge of their seat.
We're going. I can't say how many hands moving over to what's happening. KMJ.
Where's the music?
KMJ Kino. Where is it? Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, oh yeah, little Buffalo Springfield.
For what it's worth.
I want to talk about this January 6th again, and then we got a couple of local issues around Pride Week and our mayor raising the flag again here. And an Ohio governor who says, you know what? Teachers should be able to protect themselves. And he just signed a bill that puts a little proof in the pudding. We'll be right back. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. The Boomer Boys. Bullet Bob and Autry. We'll be right back.
Oh, my word, Hoss.
We also have Lane Hope on the line.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Lane. He called yesterday. Well, I got a good buddy of mine that I hung around with for a few years when I was doing Civil War reenacting stuff.
Oh, he's out from really in that with Ray Appleton.
Yeah, well, Ray was a wannabe. But so he and his bride moved back to Tennessee a few years ago, and he is out visiting his sons and his grandkids, and his mom is still alive up in Sherlock. So I'm going to have lunch with him today and see old Bruce.
Excellent.
See what he's up to.
Excellent.
Yeah, good dude. But he lives up in up near Bristol,
Is this Bruce Morgan?
No. This is Bruce Black.
Okay. I don't know if I know him. Do I?
No, you don't know Bruce. I met him about 30 years ago.
You remember Bruce Morgan? Though?
Oh, yeah.
Great athlete.
Good guy.
He was on that vaunted 6th grade championship basketball team, wasn't he?
Hey, you know what I ran across? I ran across that picture not long ago.
I did too.
And I always wondered why we took it from so far away, because we were so small you could hardly see me.
Yeah.
You're kneeling next to me, and it goes like, profile goes like that. And I'm holding the ball that had our record and everything on there. And I remember Boyd said, well, let's make it a yellow basketball. And he wrote in black marker on there the year and our record. But you can't see it because we're so stinking far away. Yeah. And it looks even smaller.
Do you know that was the first team that I made? I'd been cut from every squad, Little League, 5th grade basketball, football, baseball.
Really?
And I remember telling my mother when I went out for the tryout, I just got cut. Well, 4th grade, I got sick. I had mumps and the measles at the same time. So I missed almost a whole year of school. Very weak. But I just...
you weren't in Daletown then, though.
Yeah. I lived out in the country. I didn't have anybody to practice with.
When did you get to Daletown? 5th grade or 4th grade?
5th. I was there twice. Went there, I think, 3rd or 4th grade, then left.
You went out to Central, didn't you?
Gosh, I think I went everywhere 6 times in 5 years.
Yeah.
I lived in Ireland for a while. But I kept getting cut. And I told Mom...
1 minute?
I said, if I don't make this team, I'm never going out for sports again. And I'm in it. And I'll never forget Boyd Cole. They had us doing layups and doing drills. And he came and put his arm around me. Said, Hoss, I'm going to make a player out of you. And they gave us those.
Well, he was the guy who gave you that name, too.
Yeah. He gave us our jerseys.
Yeah.
Rode the bus home.
Good guy. I was the
manager.
manager.
That jersey.
I was the manager.
I know. You were a great manager. We couldn't have gone. We wouldn't have been undefeated without you.
Somebody's got to throw the basketballs
30
out
seconds.
there. Bring the towels.
You were the ultimate team player, Bullet Bob. Let me tell you, this folk.
Someday.
You could be feeling down coming off, miss 10 shots in a row. Bullet Bob will be there to lift your spirits up. You just got that blessing, that gift.
I'll tell you you know the Nicholson story I have about JV baseball. I'll tell you.
10 seconds.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. It's Taco Tuesday with Bullet Bob Lingoni. Little breaking news stories. Joe Biden has come out and said this is the strongest economy in history. And we should all just be thankful to be participating in the Biden economy. All this inflation stuff is good. It's better than the 80s, the 90s under Clinton, the 80s under Reagan, the last 4 years under Trump. All of this stuff is illusionary. What do you think about that?
Till you get to the gas pump or the grocery store.
Or the grocery store. Or, it just goes on and on. The guy is living in an alternative universe, but we'll get to, we promised this January 6th thing. I finally figured it out. On yesterday's show, I was perplexed. We have a segment called Things That Befuddled Me. And
so you were befuddled?
I was befuddled because around this question, what is the January 6th commission? What are they trying to do? They purported early on was to get to the facts behind this, as they quoted, the insurrection. Who was responsible for it? Was it or was it not organized? Was it spontaneous? Is there a culprit that you could hang a majority of the cause of this around the neck of? Whether it, and they found it was some Oath Keepers, I think, was a group, and Proud Boys. But obviously, the big kahuna from the get-go was Donald Trump, without a speck of evidence, Bobby. And to the contrary, the FBI investigated, said, no, Trump didn't cause this. Department of Justice investigated, no, Trump didn't cause this. And then Liz Cheney came out and said, we are going to prove that Donald Trump was responsible for this insurrection that resulted in 5 people getting killed, that was responsible for encouraging the people to go into the Capitol violently. And then it hit me. You know, and for a lot of folks, I'll be like Captain Obvious here with this epiphany. But, Robert, it's a trial. It's a criminal trial. And Liz Cheney started out, she's playing dual roles here. She was the DA. She brought charges against him right from the get-go. Here's what happened, and here's who did it, Donald Trump, and we're going to take him to trial, and we're going to convict him, and the sentencing will be either jail time or never having the option to run again for any political office, or both, and we're going to prove it just like a prosecutor would. So the trial begins. The problem is, Bobby, is in a trial you have a defense. You have a defense attorney to come in to defend the one being accused, and they're innocent till proven guilty. And the 2 lawyers that Trump picked, either tacitly or he approved of them, was Jim Jordan to be on the commission to give you the other side if you're looking for the truth. And if it turns into a trial, which from the get-go, that's what I think it was, obviously, you have a defense there. And now, don't you think my point, I guess, is this is absolutely a kangaroo court out to they had a narrative. They had the charges against former President Trump. They stacked the jury, and now they're taking it to the people to show their case, and there won't be a chance, as in a real trial, for the defense to present their 6-part episode series defending Donald Trump. What do you think about that? Am I off base on that? And if I am, what do you see this trial? What this commission is? What is it?
I think you've mentioned it a couple of times. When you have a hypothesis and say, we want to get to this point. This is what we want to try and prove. So we want to prove A. So you work everything to your advantage so that in the end you prove A, because you started out with that premise. I don't know if that's clear or not. You said we're going to prove that he's guilty of this whole thing, and here's how we're going to do it, and you're going to get there eventually.
Yes, but they put this commission together as in line with like the Warren Commission. Did Oswald shoot him? Was there other shooters? Was there other people behind this? It was a quote unquote search for the truth of what happened. This is how Cheney and how Pelosi.
This is a sham.
How Pelosi, who appointed the commission, sold this to people. Because this is a search for the truth. We're going to do an unbiased search. We're going to do a deep dive into this. And then they use the phrase, we're going to go with the truth wherever it leads.
Exactly.
You know them.
What
it's going to lead right to your predetermined narrative.
That's my point.
Exactly.
You start off with this premise or this hypothesis, and you work your way to get there.
So
regardless of what happens in between.
Which begs the question I always ask, how dumb do they think we are? Again, whether you support Trump or not, and I'm going to look right in the camera, and I mean this with all my heart. He knows me. He knows the independent nature of me, and I know the independent nature of Bill Bablione. If this kind of thing was happening to Hillary Clinton or anybody else, this mob, this partisan witch hunt just to keep Hillary Clinton from ever running again. If the DOJ had cleared Hillary Clinton of some of these same offenses, because Hillary Clinton said, don't concede. The election was stolen by the Russians and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
She's never walked that back. So you have some of the same statements, and you see the BLM riots and did those statements have something to do with that? Well, let's dig into that and find out. If the DOJ investigated, the FBI investigated, and you went and you want to do one of these commissions and you didn't let Adam Schiff on there, or you didn't let Nancy Pelosi on the commission, I would be out against it. I don't care how partisan. That's not our job. That's their job. And when they deleted Jim Jordan and some other so-called firebrands on the right as part of that commission, because they didn't want to answer the questions they were going to bring forth, they didn't want the witnesses being brought forth that Jordan and the folks, the other Republicans that were true Republicans, were going to bring forth. They didn't want to deal with that because they were afraid that would ruin their narrative. That would throw a monkey wrench into their kangaroo court. But I would be just as adamant going after the Republicans if they tried to manufacture and construct that type of situation against a Democrat, any Democrat, because it's not right. You don't fix a game and then call it a search for truth when you want to nullify any other take on it, any other
voice,
divergent point of view or voice.
Yeah.
You know,
it's crazy the way things are going. And look, we all know what the ultimate result is going to be.
You think it's going to be a criminal referral?
Well, that's what they're trying to do. Obviously, they want to get Donald Trump out. And look, if he did anything wrong, then by golly, to the fullest extent of the law, whatever
Bingo.
That may be.
You show me a smoking gun that's really smoking.
Yeah, and
I'm there.
And I think we need to say that and reiterate that because I'm not trying to take sides here per se, but it is one-sided at this point. But if he's done something wrong, then he needs to get prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Now, let me ask you this. If this commission determines that there was criminal activity involved, do they then go to the DOJ and say, hey, we have this information, this has been developed, investigated, developed, and we want you to now press charges? Is that how that works?
How that works, they have the option after this circus to make a criminal referral to the DOJ.
Okay.
The DOJ,
I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't sure.
The DOJ still has the option to further investigate in a criminal nature or not. But the commission also has the option to just hand over their findings to the DOJ. My hunch, because it's all filtered through a political prison, and is every action that this commission's taken has an eye towards the midterms, and whether an action helps or hurts them in the midterm. You know, if you're a smart strategist in the Democratic Party, you'd say, hey, if you make a criminal referral, you might even lose more seats. You got a guy, Merrick Garland, who's gonna pursue it in a criminal nature.
Not a fan of Mr. Garland.
But they're going to say, let him do it. It gives you more cover. You know, you're saying you're playing the good leadership here. So I think they probably won't. If they do, I think they automatically lose even more seats during the midterms because people are smart. The average American is much smarter in terms of common sense than 90% of the people that occupy Congress. And that's to both the House and the Senate and the presidency.
Now, let me ask you this, and I think Laura mentioned it yesterday, and you may have answered it yesterday. Do you think it's going to make any difference to those who believe that he was instrumental in the January 6th riot, or are they going to gain any folks from the other side that say, oh, well, I didn't know that? Or the people, I guess the question is, are the people who are convinced he did it are still going to be convinced? The people who are not convinced he was any part of this are still not going to be convinced. So really it's a push.
Yeah.
I think it's just grandstanding on Liz Cheney's part to prove that she's got some kind of power because she so despises Donald Trump.
Oh, gosh, that woman. That woman has some hate.
And I know you've had some experience with the Cheney. So and it isn't good. I guess.
It's to say Cheney was charisma challenged. To say the least. My interaction with him was where do I stand? What do you know? Can we just get this done so we can get out of here? Well, yes, Mr. Vice President. Please do. We'll try to move along as fast as possible. Yes, I'd appreciate that. I got a plane to catch. My little warmer. And I don't take that personal. The thing is, I did take it personal. He looked down his nose at the people of Fresno. He went out and did the press conference at the airport, and then he purported to be for the water issue. He came to town saying he was going to really support it. Then he went back on his word. I don't like liars.
Yeah,
I don't like liars. And I was a big supporter of George W. Bush. Cheney, it's, you know, you look at the history of him, but I will look at some of the positive things he did as vice president, because he did some good things. He took some very strong stances. I can say over here I don't trust the guy, but I still think he's better than the alternative and being in office. I'm not above saying that because I care what happens to the country. Let's go to Lane here. Lane, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what's on your mind, dear?
Well, I owe y'all an apology. Look, I told a Biden joke in the comments on Friday's show, and I shouldn't have done that. I was not serious about it, but some people evidently, including Facebook, thought I was.
What did Facebook do to you?
And I owe y'all an apology.
Nah, hey, that's right. All right, the apology. I don't even know what the comment was. We don't even need to repeat it. Whatever it was, let's just put it behind us. And your apology means everything. If you think you crossed the line, hey, I've done it on this show. I've come back and apologized because I have said some things that after further thought and prayer. And I just wish, you know, that's not that I'm any God's gift to anything, but Dad, comment. I wish our leaders would just say, hey, if you screw up, tell the people, hey, I screwed up. I'm sorry. They're not going to dismiss you. The independents are going to be the ones that determine this election, not your hardcore right or left. And independents appreciate that. They know that's called being human. That when you suddenly become elected president or vice president or senator, you don't stop becoming human. You, by all means, you should become more human, because there's going to be attack on you to dehumanize you and lose touch with the normal people living in that bubble called Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
You should make so you don't worry about a thing. I appreciate that, but Lane, let's don't. You're a good person, and you've apologized, and you and Facebook are square, and so I appreciate that. Let's go, Elaine. Let's go to Laura. She's on the line here. Laura.
Yes.
Yeah, there, girl. Okay. And Lane, I appreciate you, Lane. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Laura. Comments on January 6th and rootin' tootin' Vladimir Putin.
All right, here's the thing. At the end of the day, Trump is not going to be charged with anything because there's too much ambiguity. If I told you to go kill Bob and you killed Bob, that's on you. You're an adult.
Yep.
All of these 846 people that were charged in the Capitol riot were adults. They don't want the culpability, so they stand before the judge and go, the president invited me. Really? How often do you talk to him?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lack of accountability, and I'm going to tell you right now, if anybody does get charged, they're not going to get convicted because that was one of the worst orchestrated events I've ever seen.
Oh, my gosh, Laura. And it gets...
They need to never plan another one because that was awful.
And we got 4 more installments of the Netflix series to come.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it is the worst. I agree with you. I just cringe. But here's the point. I'd like to ask you this, and Bullet Bob. What came out today, the highlight, the bombshell news, was that William Barr, former Attorney General Bill Barr, said to Trump, what you're doing is bullcrap, okay? Ivanka Trump told her dad, I think you need to accept it, that it was not stolen. And you quote all these people telling him that. My question is, so what? What are you, that's why I go back, what are you trying to prove? People every day in positions of power, I as a mayor had people telling me, this is a bad move. Some saying, well, what you're about to do is a good move. You have advisors. Some are going to agree. Some don't. Rudy Giuliani said, fight it. He decided to go with Giuliani. What does that prove, Laura? That he I don't understand what they're trying.
He was in horrible denial of, and that's
Yes.
that's all it
Yeah.
proves.
Yeah.
So that
Exactly.
so that caused the insurrection in January 6th.
No,
That's my
the
point.
insurrection was caused by a whole lot of people who were kind of like Son of Sam. You know, Son of Sam said his neighbor's dog told him to go out and kill people. Well, these idiots sat in front of a television and said, the president invited me here.
But-
well, that's on you, John.
But what in connection with those statements by those people, they call it bombshell, could you draw the conclusion that he's responsible for? I don't see the logic in it. And I know we're living in I don't.
So it's a bombshell when half the country told him the election wasn't stolen.
Yeah.
He's just in denial.
Yes.
That just makes him a little mashugana. It doesn't mean, it's so hard to prove that. I mean, unless he has, they have documents that lay out this orchestrated plan.
Exactly.
If what we saw was an orchestrated plan, they got a lot bigger problems than January 6th.
Exactly. And you look at it, the information says what the determination said.
Drunk monkeys had been set loose.
That basically it was this group, the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. I mean, based on what we're putting forth, that we're seeing, what the commission has dug up, made a determination that this was predetermined before January 6th by the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, that they were going to come and raise some hell in the Capitol, which was way before President Trump
the
said.
Proud Boys need to really reevaluate their ability to be a militia because they suck.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, and I'm not belittling the fact that they went into the Capitol, but to call this
obviously domestic people. No sane adult is going to defecate on the Capitol floor.
Right.
That's something a monkey would do.
And another thing too that people is simmering below the surface, but they really are afraid to articulate it, but not on this show. At least I'm not, because I want to know this. What did Ashley Babbitt, a female veteran, 5'1", unarmed, trying to go through that window, what did she do to make that Capitol Hill officer believe his life was in danger, or that Nancy Pelosi's in danger to the point? To the point he took out his gun, took aim at this woman, and shot her dead. Well, I think why is that not in the commission report?
I don't know.
Were they afraid? I want to hear. I want to hear that though. It's a big thing to me. Were they afraid that she was going to come in there and with her mighty strength rip a Democrat apart with her bare hands? Was she that big of a threat? 5'1", less than 100 pounds. Why did he pick her out, or did he shoot indiscriminately? Did he shoot just indiscriminately? So what does that is? You don't think that's worth taking a look at January?
I do.
Not you. I'm talking about January 6th Commission.
That should have happened.
I'm not saying you.
They're not going to investigate it.
I'm not saying you. I'm talking about the January 6th. If you want people to take this seriously, why not address that? You would get instant credibility. And if you came out and said the guy was really nervous, everybody was everywhere, he felt he had to protect the lives of the office holders, of our representatives there, and he shot, and that could be understandable to a lot of people. But to totally dismiss it after the one person died that was killed in that insurrection, and it was by a Capitol Hill police officer. Yeah, we see around the country when a police officer pulls a gun and kills somebody, it's instant investigation, regardless if on the surface. I mean, you look at what LeBron James tweeted and put on Instagram after this officer in Chicago had to shoot a female trying to stab a 15-year-old to death, took preemptive action, had to shoot, tragically, the girl with the knife. And here you got LeBron James going on how that this cop should be, you're next, he says.
Yeah, you're
instant good. You're going to be in there like Derek Chauvin.
And what you have to understand, and a lot of people need to understand, this is something I've come to realize over the last year. And that is, you've mentioned more than once that you and I can have conversations where we don't agree, but we can still continue to get along and move on to another subject and be fine.
Right.
And how that's lacking today. And I'll tell you why. Because too many people. Look at the average age. The average age of the 846 that were arrested in the Capitol riot. I'm going to use them as an example. And the far left is equally as guilty. If you look at the riots that happened over the summer after George Floyd was killed, the average age of the person arrested was 37 years of age. Okay, that was the overall average age of the people who went into the Capitol. There were a handful over 40, but the majority were 40 and under. The majority of the people that were out in those streets and were burning down businesses and everything else like that were under 40. And the reason why is because it's a combination of things. It's a whole recipe. But if you sit down and you write down who you are as a person, your political ideation is going to fall way down on that list. With these younger people, their political ideation is intrinsically tied to their personal identity, and that is extremely dangerous.
I agree.
Wow.
I agree. I call it.
If you say something that doesn't fit into their bubble, that doesn't agree with their ideation, it's the same thing as me telling you that you're a godless heathen.
Mm-hmm. I think you have a lot of truth in what you just said there. I call it being politically poisoned. You have that poison and you don't even know that your political beliefs are guiding you above even your faith. Yes. That is your religion.
And one of the reasons that they're drawn to this, one of the reasons I can tell you that they're drawn to this, and look at both sides. Okay, like I told you, the majority of these people stood before a judge and said, oh, it's not my fault. The president invited me here. And the people on the left, all these people that went out and burned down people's businesses and threw frozen water bottles at cops and everything else like that, well, they were told they were being oppressed.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Exactly.
It's a way to avoid it. They don't have to accept blame for bad behavior.
And exactly. And the next thing you know, you've got a guy with a 9mm camped outside Kavanaugh's house ready to blow his head off.
The only thing I will give that young guy credit for is he called 911 on himself.
Yeah. Well, that's I guess
at
there's
I'm not excusing what he did by any stretch of the imagination, but before he harmed anyone, he reached out and called 911 and said, I got a problem.
Well, you take the guy that mowed down the Steve Scalise at the softball game, a Bernie Sanders supporter, out of his mind, a list of Republicans. Because you're right, it's on both sides, and it's insane. It's got to stop, and it's got to be level-headed people like, hopefully, us here on this show, Autry's Army. I say Autry's Army because everybody's as important as anybody else. I just happen to be in the seat here leading with this show. When I'm too old or I keel over, somebody else needs to come in that. Because you know what? Common sense, respect for all, tolerance, restraint, strength, tough when you have to be, tender when you should be, is timeless. It's not just about a person. That's why when people call the Republicans the Trump party, no, it's not. Trump's a member of the conservative party. You know, having limited government, strong borders, right to life, those are all timeless principles. And they're not the sole possession of a single individual. You know?
No, but they also shouldn't be your top priority.
No.
You should first identify as a child of God.
Bingo.
As a son, a daughter,
absolutely.
A husband,
Preach it, sister. Preach it, sister. That's exactly that. We have an identity problem in this country. Exactly right.
We do.
Yes, an identity. It starts with that. That's who you are. That's why when I tell people, Laura, and I'll take it, especially young people, they come up and say, "You're an actor," and I said, "No." "Yeah, you are. You're an actor." I said, "Oh, you need." I said, "No." I said, "Acting's what I do. I'm Alan Aury," and hopefully the conversation will lead. And sometimes it does. I get a little blessed that I get to say, without preaching to them, saying, you know, actually, I'm a child of God. Everything out. I wasn't a mayor. A mayor was just a responsibility, a job that God gave me to do, platform to do. You start off, you're a child of God. That's your identity. The problem is, as you just articulated, Laura, so many people derive their identity from their political party. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm a Proud Boy. I'm a BLMer. I'm a Oath Keeper. I'm of Antifa.
Therein lies the rub.
Therein lies the rub. And Laura, see what happens when, like you said, we've had some pretty good debates on things that we didn't agree. But look what happens here. I think here, as we close our show with less than a minute to go, it kind of illustrates on this show what can come out of this. We have a discussion on really I think, a fundamental source of any solution we're going to have, which is how we identify ourselves in this country. We're all children of God. And if we look through that prism, we're going to look at everybody differently. If you look at people like God looks at them, you're going to look at the member of the opposing party, differently, and you're going to say, hey, we're all in this same boat together.
Yep.
We can work through our disagreements and continue to move this great country forward and leave for our children and grandchildren a stronger country headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
Laura, love you. Bullet Bob.
Thanks, Laura.
Love you, brother. Folks, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks,
and all those that have the newcomers, please come and stay. And your voice is important as anybody else. We love you. God bless you. God bless America. Just remember, just do your best and let God do the rest. Bye-bye now, and see you tomorrow, Wednesday. Larry Powell. Powell to the people tomorrow. Bye.
Until then, who cares about the...
Bye.